Yeah, so this week I wanted to talk about commissions. And the thing is, I'm in a kind of interesting position with this because I've been someone who has commissioned people, and I've also been someone who has done commissions for other people. So I've kind of seen it on both sides. Now, just to be clear, what I'm going to sort of say over the course of this is broad advice. Like, not everything is going to fit every circumstance. Your relationship as the person asking for the commission and your relationship as the person who is sort of doing the commissions will vary, and not everything I say will perfectly fit each and every situation, but this is personal experience a lot of the time. This is things that I've seen, and I think off the back of this, hopefully this will help people out. And this is, like I said, this is not to single anyone out. This is not to sort of say you can't do this, you can't do that, or this is right, this is wrong. But I hope that this will help you out. Okay, so the first step, if you're someone who is looking to commission someone, is to do your research. Now, I've seen this sometimes where people will contact someone and or they'll like post comments saying, "Oh, I can't afford this." Please don't do that. Like, artists don't like it. It doesn't help anyone. I mean, even if you're being complimentary and saying, "Oh, I really wish I could book you, but I don't," you know, keep your private situation to yourself. Don't, there's no need for anyone to know that. And also, as well, there could be ways around this, which I'm going to get to. So, first up, do your research, look around. A lot of artists will have pinned information with their prices. So, the odds are there will be someone who could do something that is within your price range and the kind of style and quality that you want. And of course, what I will say as well is commissions, generally when people think of commissions they think of artists, but there are voice actors, there are cosplayers, there are people who make props, fursuits, any number of people do commissions. So do your research, look things up, see what's out there, and determine what you can do, because like I say, there are things that are out there. And we'll talk about sort of the money situation, I think, later on. But also, the other thing I think when you're sort of looking at these things, be careful and look at what they will and will not do, because this is something that I think you've got to respect with artists. And I think it's very important when you contact them, you tell them what you want. Again, please do not just go randomly say hi to people. It doesn't, like I say, I think for a lot of people it makes them uncomfortable, so don't do that. I mean, I'm sure I've been guilty of that at some point unintentionally, but in recent times I've realised just like what this can connote, and you want people to feel comfortable before you ask them for a commission. Second of all, don't say I have a question or can I ask you something, because very rarely does someone ask that and then often that will lead to something uncomfortable. Like, just ask like, I've had this, just ask the thing you want to ask, and I think this is the thing. I think you need to say, this is the thing that I want. And like I say, a lot of the time, if you look at their information, half the time it will cover the thing that you're going to ask. So do check first. I mean, I've been guilty of this sometimes as well. I mean, you're in the middle of doing something and you sort of autopilot. It happens. Likewise, artists, I will say this as well, because there is a flip side to this. If you are an artist, sometimes someone might look at your information and what you have described doesn't cover a specific thing, and they ask you a question. Like, don't autopilot and say, look at my commission info. Check what they're saying, because it could be that they have a specific question that isn't covered. And it's so easy to do. We all have lives. We all, have stuff to take care of, and it's easy to sometimes to just kind of go for the copy and paste or the basic answer so you can then get on with something else. But the danger with doing that is that you could miss out on a commission if you didn't sort of just try and cover it. And I mean, on both sides, in terms of the person that is asking for the commission and the person who is, doing the commission, please be polite either way, and like I say, if someone sort of doesn't want to do the thing that you ask them to do, or they look at what you're offering and they say that they're not comfortable with that, please respect their wishes. So there we go. So we're on this point, so we are now at the point where theoretically we could charge for something. Incidental little side note, there are things like, for example, DeviantArt points. So if you go on DeviantArt, some people do use points rather than money as commission, so that can be an option if your budget is tight, and you can get relatively good commissions and relatively more commissions that way, if, say, for example, you're having a bit of a tight month, because that can happen. But ideally, like I say, you want to pay for the quality and you want to sort of do what you can. Equally, it may be possible to sort of pay in installments. Again, this is something to ask. But here we go, and also as well, make sure your payment methods are clear, make sure, the way you approach this is done in a sensible way. Okay, here we go. Okay, so at this point, we now know that, the commission is acceptable. We know what we're paying for it. Hopefully you've actually put the money down and paid for it at this point, or points, whatever. And we now get to the point where, as I say, we're going over the situation, we're going over what we want with these people, and like I said, there's in effect what I'm going to call the communication period, just to kind of broaden this out. So at this point, if you are the person who's seeking the commission, you need to give people an idea of what the thing is you want. So, say for example, I wanted a picture of someone to do a picture of me wearing this shirt, but like as a fox. I would sort of say to them, here is this picture, and here is a reference image of the kind of style that I want. But I mean, ideally, you could then, like I say, link to the kind of stuff that they've done before to sort of say, but I kind of want this in your style. And again, this is where research comes into it. Now, a danger that people can do in this situation, and I've seen some people do this, and I really have to sort of stress this, please, please, please do not go overboard on description. And I think, again, this is the importance of communication here. It is a balance between giving people the information they need and going overboard, because you want to give artists a level of creative freedom, and if you didn't, well, you do the work yourself. And of course, if you're anything like me, you need people to sort of do the artwork because you're not that good at it. So you've got to kind of be a bit smart about these things. And for me personally, I think creative leeway is important. I think you want an artist to enjoy what they're working on. But again, just to clarify, artist can also mean voice actor, fursuiter, etc., etc. I'm using this as a catch-all term. But yeah, it's just, you need to sort of communicate what you want, but not be over the top about it. And of course, be polite. That is really important. And again, as the artist, what you need to do is just sort of say, right, okay, fair enough, see what you mean. But if you need reference material, don't be afraid to ask. That's the thing. I think saying what kind of stuff that you need, equally as well, like sometimes it may be that you need high-res photos or you need something specific. Don't be afraid to ask. Say, like, this is what I need, and if you can't do a commission based on that, like, if I don't have this, I can't do the commission, fair enough. Like, you know this better than the person asking, so that there is that. And at this point, of course, be aware, like, what kind of deadline that you're doing. So, for example, for me, like, a common deadline is with the Fan Art Friday videos, and yes, we include commissions in Fan Art Friday, because, again, we want to kind of have a broad range of people, and, if we can help out other artists, we will. So, like, those videos will often have, like, a deadline, like, a day or so before the Friday, because you need time to put the video together. And there is nothing wrong with saying to someone that you're commissioning, this is the situation, can you do it? And again, if you are the artist, you have to be able to say, yes, I can do this, or you know, my situation's tight this month, I might not be able to do it, and then you guys then have to sort of decide between yourselves whether or not this works. And of course, over the period when the commission is being done, I would recommend, again, people's styles are different, people do things in different ways. I would recommend having like a rough sketch period where you do like the initial like thumbnail or whatever, and you show it to the person who's doing the commission saying, is this okay? And of course, if you are the commission person, check it over, make sure it's okay before you say, yeah, carry on. Because like I say, if you sort of look at these things later on, it can be harder to correct later on, which again, I have learned from experience. But like I say, during this process, you know, that's the point where you have to then sort of say, okay, fair enough, you know, that's good, yeah, thank you, or this could be improved upon. So yeah, again, so we are now going to come up to revisions, so I'm going to cover that now. Yeah, so sometimes the commission will be finished, but then you might say, notice a typo, or something isn't quite right and it needs to be changed, or something has happened and your original idea, you now need to do something different. It's important, I think, again, balance is the key thing here. So there's two aspects to this. One, if you were the person who's doing the commission, then okay, asking someone to correct a typo or like a minor thing, fair enough. I would probably say you can ask for that and not expect to sort of pay extra. If it's a major change and it's something that you didn't previously agree to, then, you know, revisions may well, again, cost extra, and you've got to be aware of that. And again, this is where communication is important. This is where you have to sort of say what is real and what isn't, and like I say, what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable in these situations. And again, everyone will have a different way of doing these things, and you have to respect it. So there we go. And this is the thing. I think people, generally speaking, like I say, you can get it done, get it out there. I mean, what I would say, if you're the artist, if you can, and again, as I say, artist is a catch-all term, if you can, try and get things done ahead of deadline. And for the person who is setting the deadline, if you can, make your deadline a little bit sooner than when you actually need it, because you can then, again, legislate for any delays. Which again, in certain circumstances, might not be possible, but be aware of this. And like I say, be reasonable. Like I say, there is, you know, people have only so much time. And like I said, this is why, like, that first period of communicating, telling people what you want, and sort of being descriptive without being overly descriptive, and like I say, having a rough period and sort of approval, etc., makes the difference, because you can avoid problems later on. Okay, so we've got your commission. Your commission looks great. Now, hopefully, you'll have spoken to the artist about how you intend to use said commission, and this should be included in the discussion before, you know, money has changed hands and this has happened. Now, sometimes this may not always happen, and sometimes things may come to light that you haven't thought of. So, as an example, let's say, for example, you want to produce merchandise based off the commission. Ideally, you should ask permission before you do this, and like I said, I haven't always done this as I should have done, but, you know, keep them in the loop. Ideally, like I say, give them a cut from the thing as well, but this is something that you can work out. And again, artists, check your Ko-fi shop, check your commission status, you know, your details, etc. Check that you have clarified this, because, you know, personal use, commercial use, it can be different. Like I say, sometimes someone just might want a picture just because they want the picture, and that's okay. But if there's someone sort of using it for promotion, etc., and you have views on this, it's okay to say, I only want this to be used in such a way. Because like I say, I mean, I've had this sometimes before as well, and I think there is nothing wrong with sort of being clear on how you view these things. That, like I say, that being said, this is something that should be covered early on, but I think it is something that needs to be covered, needs to be sort of made aware of, and I think like I say, if we kind of talk this over, there shouldn't be an issue. But I think what all this comes back to is communication and sort of balance and fairness, really. So from sort of the commission side, sort of saying what you want, be patient. I think that is a crucial thing with these things. If someone is doing a job for you, try not to get on their case too much. Like, asking about something is okay, but try to sort of read the time frame, if you like, which is not always easy with sort of professional people. So I've had this where you have to sort of follow up and think, can I do this without bugging people? And likewise, if you're the artist, please be proactive. I know it's not always easy because, like I say, especially if you've got a few commissions on, but keep in touch if something goes wrong, because things do go wrong. People do have issues. People do have things happen, or you get ill, or you want to go on vacation or whatever. But please try and keep in touch with people. If you need to do like I say, a cut and paste thing, fair enough. But or like an out of office reply, whatever you need to do. But be aware of these things, and like I say, try and schedule these things as best you can. So I mean, I've seen a lot of artists do that thing where they have commission slots and it will be for a period of time and then close it, which I think is perfectly sensible. Set your time, and this is the beauty of sort of being self-employed or sort of doing your own independent work. Set it to your time frame, set it to a way where you are comfortable, and if you are someone who's getting the commission in that, it's kind of on you to kind of gauge whether that fits or not. Anyway, I really hope that this has kind of been instructive for everyone, because I think it's really important that we all sort of play fair with each other. And obviously I'm talking about this about commissions, sorry, but like equally this can refer to like requests, art trades, any number of things, because you've got to play fair with people. So there's that. Speaking of commissions, a big thank you to some of the people who have done some Fan Art Friday commissions for us already. So a big thank you to Emily Bandicoot, Farstorm Fox, and Alan Buzzy. All of them are awesome. All of them commissionable, and they've been fantastic. All kind of worked hard, got on with it, really sort of decent, and I'm really impressed with people who kind of get on with stuff and are very professional. And I think it's tricky. I think it is very difficult because you have to kind of get out there. And I think when it comes to commissions and what have you, on the artist side, do your research, gauge what you have to sort of charge in terms of your own costs, etc. And don't be afraid to say, like, if the price of art materials goes up, you've got to say to people, well, the price of art materials has gone up. That's fair enough, and if people don't accept that, then that's on them. As I say, as someone who's self-employed myself, I can see, like, I'm very lucky in that writing by and large does not require anything too complex, but I'm sympathetic to the fact that when it comes to artists, you tend to need more and you tend to need support. So that's good. And like I said, I'm so grateful for the artists who we work with, like Capitaine Renard and El Bunny, who are working on material for issue 5, which is looking tremendous, and you can get previews. So as I say, check out the information in the description, and most of all, please everyone support each other, and much love.